In this video, we are going to look at questions on nucleotides and nucleic acids. So these questions are coming from tutorial sheet 5. So we have 5 questions in this tutorial sheet. I'm going to solve all of them. So if you'd like to access the full video, please find the link in the description and then you can register on our website. So we start from question 1. So question 1, they're saying draw the general structures of purines and pyrimidines. Okay, so before we can even draw their structures, we have to know what they are. So purines and pyrimidines are nitrogenous bases that form the building blocks of nucleic acids, that is DNA and RNA. Okay, so when we come to the purine here, purines have a two-ring structure that is composed of a 6-membered and a 5-membered nitrogen-containing ring are fused together like that. Okay, so the most common example of a purine in DNA and RNA are adenine and guanine. Okay, so when we come to the general structure, okay, the general structure of this purine or of these purines, okay, in their general structure, it is composed of a 6-membered ring that has 2 nitrogen atoms at position 1 and 3. Okay. And then it is also having a 5-membered ring that has the nitrogen atom at position number 7 and 5. So let us draw this structure, okay, according to the description that we've had. So the structure is going to be something like this. Okay, so this structure that I've drawn here is the general structure of purines. Okay, so we number it like this. So this will be our 1, 2, and then this will be 3, 4, and then we have 5, 6, okay, and then we say 7, and then 8, and then 9. Okay, so we can see that in total, these purines are just 9-membered what? Rings. All right, so it's important to take note at that at position 1, we have a nitrogen atom. At position 3, we also have a nitrogen atom. At position 7, we also have a nitrogen atom. And at position 9, we also have a what? A nitrogen atom. So this is the general structure of what? Purines. All right, so now what about the pyrimidines? Okay, so the pyrimidines, we can erase this. Okay, so when you talk about pyrimidines, pyrimidines have a single 6-membered ring structure with 2 nitrogen atoms at position 1 and 3. Okay, so the most common examples of pyrimidines in DNA are cytosine and thiamine, while uracil replaces thiamine when you talk about the RNA. Okay, so now when we come to the general structure of these pyrimidines, okay, when we come to the general structure of these pyrimidines, what are we going to have as a structure? Okay, so the general structure is just the 6-membered ring, okay, that contains nitrogen atoms at position 1 and what? 3. All right, so let me draw it. So we have something like that. Okay. Hey, what am I drawing now? All right, so it should be like that, and then that, and then this. All right, so down there we should have a nitrogen atom. So I'll erase this part and then put nitrogen. Then there's also nitrogen there. Okay, so here there's also a double bond like that. Okay, let me draw it nicely. So there's a double bond like that. Here there's a double bond, even there's a double bond. Okay, so we can number this structure starting from 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. So we see that pyrimidines are just 6-membered what? Rings with a nitrogen atom at position 1 and the nitrogen atom at position what? Position 3, like that. Okay, so this is the general structure of pyrimidines. Right, so now when you substitute some of these positions, okay, with functional groups, okay, different atoms, you form those different pyrimidines or those different what? Purines. So on the next page here, you can see here that I have the two types of purines that are there. Okay, there's guanine here. Okay, this is the guanine structure. So you can see that we are just replace those some of those positions with atoms and functional groups, and then we form guanine. So in guanine, there's a ketone, okay, at position 7 there. And then in adenine at position 7, you have an amino group. So that's how we can differentiate them. And then from the pyrimidine side, we have three of them. We have cytosine, thiamine, and uracil. Okay, and this is the structure of thiamine. This is the structure of cytosine. Then this is the structure of what? Uracil. Right, so that's all on question 1. We've drawn the general structure of purines and pyrimidines. Okay, and then number 2, they're saying what are the structural components of nucleotides and how do they differ, okay, from nucleosides? All right, so the structural components of nucleotides are 1, the phosphate group that you can see here, okay? And then 2, the pentose sugar, and then 3, the nitrogenous what? Base, okay? So the phosphate group, it can be 1 or more phosphate groups attached to the 5' carbon of the sugar. And then the pentose sugar, it is a 5-carbon sugar, 5-membered carbon sugar, which can either be ribose when you talk about RNA or deoxyribose when you talk about what? DNA. Okay. And then the nitrogenous base is just a nitrogen containing base, which can be a purine, which we are what we are from talking about, or it can be a what? Pyrimidine. Right. So the difference now between this nucleotide and a nucleoside is just the presence of this phosphate group. Okay. So if we remove this phosphate group from this nucleotide here, what remains here is what we call as the what? The nucleoside. Okay, so that's the difference between the nucleotide and the nucleoside. Okay, the nucleotide has 3 components, and then the nucleoside only has 2. So from the nucleotide, you remove the phosphate group, you're going to remain with a nucleoside. So here I have a very good illustration. So you can see it here. So if we get everything that we can see here, we end up with what? Nucleotide. And then if we remove this phosphate group like that, what we're going to remain with inside here is what we are going to call as a nucleoside. All right, so now let's go to question 3. So question 3, they're saying state the different types of RNA and describe the role of RNA in protein synthesis. Okay, so I've drawn for you guys a table, okay, where I have different types of RNA and their role in what? Protein synthesis. So the first type of RNA that I have here is what we call as the mRNA or messenger RNA. Okay, so what role does it play in protein synthesis? Okay, so it acts as a template for assembling amino acids into a protein according to the DNA what? Instructions. And then the other type of RNA that we have is the transfer RNA or the tRNA. Okay, so what role does it play in protein synthesis? Okay, it matches amino acids with the mRNA codons during protein assembly at the what? Ribosome. So that's the function or the role that it plays. And then we also have rRNA. Okay, so this rRNA, okay, it facilitates the binding of mRNA and tRNA and catalyzes the peptide bond formation. So this is the function or the role it has in protein what? Synthesis. And then the other types, these are minor types. We have the snRNA, which is the small nuclear RNA. Okay, so this RNA is found in the nucleus, okay, part of the spliceosome complex. Okay, so what is its role in protein synthesis? It is involved in mRNA splicing, okay, removing introns and joining what? Exons, okay. And then we also have these other types of RNA that you can go through on your own. All right. So from there, we can go to the next question, which is saying, okay, calculate the complete base composition of a double-stranded eukaryotic DNA that contains 32% guanine. Okay, so how can we calculate the complete base composition? Okay, so to calculate the complete base composition, okay, of a DNA, we know that a DNA molecule is double-stranded, right? Okay, so we are going to use what we call as Chargaff's rules. Okay, we're going to use what we call as Chargaff's rules. Okay, so Chargaff's rules states that the amount of guanine is always equal to the amount of cytosine, and the amount of adenine is always equal to the amount of what? Thymine. Okay, so we just said the amount of guanine is always equal to the amount of cytosine. Okay, and then the amount of adenine is always equal to the amount of what? Thymine, like that. So here we've been given 32% guanine. Okay, so this means that even the cytosine will be what? 32% like that. Okay, so now how do we calculate the percent of adenine and thymine? Okay, so we're going to add these two. We're going to get 64. So this 64 is the percent for guanine plus cytosine. Okay, so to find, first of all, the percent of adenine plus thymine, we're going to say 100 minus 64%. Okay, so from there, we are going to get 36%. So this 36% is the sum of the percent of the adenine and the what? The thymine there. Okay, and then from here, if you want to find just for this one and this one, we just have to divide the 36% by what? 2. So it means adenine, okay, will be 18%, and then thymine will also be what? 18%. Okay, so just follow the Chargaff's rules. Okay, so this one is not a problem. Okay, and then we go to the last question where they're saying, write the complementary sequence, okay, in the standard 5' to 3' notation for this sequence here. Okay, so the first one is that we have G, A, T, C, and then A, A. So this is the sequence that we have. Okay, so how can we write the complementary strand? Okay, how can we write the complementary strand? So we know that the original strand here is coming from 3' and then it's going to what? 5' like that. Okay, so it means that our complementary strand will start from the 5 and then it will be going to the what? To the 6. The 6 now. It will be starting from the 5 and then it's going to the 3 like that. Okay, so we know that the complementary base pair for guanine is always what? Cytosine. Okay, and then for A, it is thymine. For thymine, it is adenine. For cytosine, it is G, which is guanine. Okay, remember here we are talking about what? DNA. All right, and then A, its complementary base is just what? T. Even this is T. Okay, and then here we are ending up at 3', and then we are starting at what? 5'. So this is the complementary what? Sequence of the one that we are given there. Okay, and then from there, let's look at the other one. All right, so the other one will be T, C, G, A, C. So let's draw complementary base pairs here. So for the T, the complementary base pair is just A. For the C, the complementary base pair is G. For the G, it's C. For the A, it's T. For the A, it's T again. And then for the C, it's what? G. So this one here is from 5' to what? 3' like that. Okay, so that's what we have there. Okay, we have 5' to 3'. Okay, and then the last one will be in this form. Okay, so we have A, C, G, C, G, T. Right, let's draw complementary base pairs. So for the A, we have T. For the C, we have G. For the G, we have C. For the C, we have G. For the G, we have C. And then for the T, we have A. So this is the 3 prime. And then this one here is the what? The 5 prime, like that. All right. So this here is the complementary sequence of what we've been given there. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial sheet. If you'd like to register for our online classes, find the link in the description below. So until next time, thank you so much for watching.